So about a month ago, I said I'd be back pretty quickly to make another video. This time about the post before existential isolation, which was called Civility is Overrated, and it was written with one of my students, Ohad Fadida. And in that post, we talked about how people are avoiding difficult conversations. You know, a lot of it comes out of politics, but it's not just politics. Like, it can be any difficult situation. I definitely have relationships in my life where sometimes I avoid saying something because today isn't the day, right? Today isn't the day to get in an argument. But that it is important to have those conversations. So in the month since then, almost a month, I wrote another post that kind of followed up on Civility is Overrated, called Disagree But Know Why. And the point of that post, I had listened to a couple of podcasts over a year ago, or about a year ago, I'd say, right around a year ago. 2 podcasts, very different podcasts, but both of them kind of talked about cognitive empathy and perspective taking, but in very different ways. So I kind of put those 2 podcasts together in my latest post, called Disagree But Know Why. And basically what that boils down to is we tend to feel people are either with us or against us. That's an evolutionary kind of reaction that we have automatically to, oh, this person's, you know, with us, like part of us, part of our small group, or they're against us. And then once that happens, we have a tendency to become defensive. We have a tendency to defend our group or our perspective. We also, because of the way our brains are geared, we tend to feel we're always scanning for threat. And because there aren't as many real life threatening events in our lives anymore, since we've evolved into this, you know, the society we're at now, where we're at the top of the food chain. We're not being chased by animals. We're not, there aren't other tribes trying to kill us, generally speaking. I know that exists at times and it isn't always safe, but generally speaking, you know, most of us go through our days pretty safely. So our mind scans for threats, and even a disagreement is registered as a threat. So our defenses get up pretty quickly and we kind of dig in our heels and argue. And the solution to that is to realize the first part, and I love this part, I just keep talking about priors like that. It was the first time I heard it put that way, I guess, in the podcast. But priors are all of our previous experiences up until today. And our priors affect our perception. So in the post and in the podcast originally, and then I concluded it in my post, it used the dress that kind of, you know, I don't know, people argued about for a little while whether it was blue and black or white and gold, right? And the experimenter, I'm not going to remember his name. It's in the post though. Pascal, I think, is his first name. But anyhow, he investigated that, and then he created experiments to prove that it was people's previous perceptions that led to whether they saw the dress as blue or black or white or gold. And it had to do with, you know, whether they were morning people or night people, whether they were used to seeing things in fluorescent light or natural light. So that affected it, and that's their priors. But these priors can be generalized to every experience we've ever had. So I may see things very, very differently than someone else, even though the same set of facts are there in front of us. We see them differently because of our histories and our experiences, and what leads, all of that affects our perception, not just our vision or our perception of vision, actually, not just that, but our actual, the way we see it. So cognitive empathy is this ability to stop for a minute, realize this other person has experiences and priors that are very different than mine, and to accept that for them, this is their perception, and for me it's my perception. It's not necessarily a truth one way or the other, it's perception. And if I can get curious about how they got to that place, then both of us are going to be a lot less defensive, and we don't, we can have these conversations without so much defensiveness and arguing and avoidance, quite frankly. I mean, the main point is not to avoid these discussions to begin with. I see it all the time in couples therapy. I see it in my life where, somebody will get upset about something and I'll wonder why it's upsetting, right? Because to me it's not a big deal, but to them it is a big deal. So that all has to do with priors, with their personal experiences and how that may trigger them. Trigger is a big word these days in psychology. So I hope you read it. Again, it's called Disagree But Know Why. I've gotten good feedback from people that have read it, which is like 7 people, I think, at this point. I'm kidding. I'm minimizing, but it hasn't been read a lot. Anyhow, I hope you read it. I hope this is helpful in some way, and I'll see you next time in about a month.